All right, let's dive in. Today, we are breaking down what is, without a doubt, the most powerful engine of discovery in the modern economy: Google search. Now, if you're a tech leader, a strategist, or really anyone in business, understanding the system isn't just a nice to have, it's absolutely essential for survival. So, I want to kick things off with a pretty direct question for every single person tuning in. Is your business actually built to be found? I mean, really think about it. Because in the world we live in, if you're not visible on Google, you're pretty much invisible. The stakes just couldn't be higher. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the core engine itself. Then we'll break down the three critical stages: the crawl, the index, and serving the results. After that, we'll cover the unbreakable rules of the game and wrap it all up with some clear strategic imperatives you can start thinking about today. Okay, first things first. The best way to think about Google search is to picture the world's biggest, most ridiculously efficient, and fully automated library. Its entire job is to find, understand, and organize every single piece of public information out there, just so it can be useful to us. You know, it all boils down to this really simple three-step process that literally governs everything: crawl, index, and serve. First, Google discovers what's even out there. Then it has to make sense of it all and store it. And finally, it delivers what it thinks is the best possible answer to a user. If you get this simple flow, you've got the key to understanding everything else. Let's jump into stage one, the crawl. And, the subtitle here really says it all. If Google's crawlers can't find your content, for all intents and purposes, you just don't exist in its world. Technical accessibility, well, that's the absolute price of admission. So what is crawling exactly? Well, it's this non-stop automated process run by software called Googlebot. You can literally picture Googlebot as this massive army of digital librarians, just constantly exploring the internet 24/7, downloading every page, image, and video they can possibly find just to see what's on them. And how does this discovery actually happen? Well, the main way Googlebot finds new stuff is by following links from pages it already knows about. But you can also help it out by giving it a direct map. That's called a sitemap. What's really crucial for modern websites is that it can render pages just like our browsers do, so it can see all that content built with JavaScript. And it's also designed to be a good citizen. It respects a file called robots.txt, which is basically your way of telling the crawlers, hey, please ignore these parts of my site. So here's the big takeaway for you as a leader. Crawling is not just some techie issue. It is a strategic issue. If your website's architecture is a confusing maze, Googlebot might just give up before it finds your best stuff. If your platform is slow, it'll get visited less often. And get this, one little typo in that robots.txt file we just mentioned, it can make your entire website invisible overnight. Seriously. Okay, so once a page is successfully crawled, it moves into stage two, the global index. This is the really cool part where Google goes from just having a long list of web addresses to building a true library of knowledge, where it actually starts to understand what all this content is really about. Indexing is just that. It's the process of analyzing all that content it just crawled and then storing it in this absolutely colossal database called the Google Index. I want you to think of it like it's creating this incredibly detailed, super searchable card catalog for the entire internet. It's not just noting the title, but the topics, the images, the videos, everything. And indexing isn't just about passively storing stuff. Google does what it calls multimodal analysis, which is a fancy way of saying it understands pictures and videos, not just words. It also has to deal with tons of duplicate content online. That process, canonicalization, is kind of like telling the librarian, hey, out of these 5 books that look identical, this one right here is the master copy. Put that one on the shelf. And really importantly, it filters out all the junk, the spammy, low-quality stuff. Not everything that gets crawled actually makes it into the library. And now we get to stage 3, serving. This is the moment of truth, right? A person types something into the search bar, and in a tiny fraction of a second, Google has to comb through its entire massive index and deliver the perfect answer. It's all about winning those milliseconds that matter. So how does Google decide what to show you? Well, while there are literally hundreds of factors, they all kind of cluster into these key themes you see here. How relevant is the content to the search? Are there signals of quality and trust? What's the user's context? Like, where are they? What language do they speak? What device are they on? And finally, is the page actually fast and easy to use? Ranking is all about finding the perfect balance of all these things. The key thing to wrap your head around is that ranking is not a manual process. There isn't a person somewhere deciding who's number one, it is completely automated. Super complex algorithms are weighing hundreds of signals in real time to figure out the most relevant, most helpful results for a specific person in a specific moment.
Now, for this whole system to work, for anyone to trust it, there have to be rules. So this next section is all about the core principles that govern the entire process, and they're all designed to build and maintain our trust in the results.
This right here is probably the single most important rule to understand, and it comes straight from Google itself. You cannot pay to have your site crawled more, and you absolutely, positively cannot pay to rank higher in the organic search results. Period. Full stop. This slide shows that clear line in the sand between organic and paid results. The organic results we've been talking about this whole time, those are earned. They're based on relevance and quality. Paid ads are a completely separate thing. They're purchased through an auction, they're always clearly labeled as ads, and they're governed by a totally different set of rules. So how is that trust protected? Well, there are a few key guardrails. The system's automated, so individuals aren't just handpicking winners. There are incredibly sophisticated anti-spam systems constantly on the hunt for bad actors. And there are very clear policies. If you break them, you risk getting a penalty or even being removed from the index entirely. Okay, so we get how it works, we get what the rules are. Now, for the most important part, what does any of this mean for you? Let's turn all this knowledge into a concrete, actionable framework. For your engineering and product folks, the mandate is pretty clear. Your most important content has to be easily crawlable. Your site needs a logical structure that Googlebot can actually follow without getting lost. And your user experience must be fast, mobile-first, and accessible to everyone. Because those aren't just nice things to have, they are direct ranking considerations. And for your content, marketing, and data teams, the focus has to be on quality and clarity. You've got to invest in original, high-quality content that actually helps people. You should be using structured data to explicitly tell Google what your content is about. Like, hey, this page is a product, and here's its price and its rating. And if you operate in different regions, you need localized content to meet local needs. When you boil it all down, the big idea is this. You have to treat your company's performance in search as a core part of your digital trust stack. This isn't just a marketing channel. Any misstep here directly hits your discoverability, your brand's perception, and, of course, the flow of customers coming to your business. So we've walked through the entire playbook, from the nuts and bolts of crawling all the way to the big picture strategy. The system is definitely complex, but the principles behind it are crystal clear. So I'll just leave you with this one question. Now that you know the rules of the game, how are you going to play to win?